Hi everyone, and welcome to, I cannot believe I'm saying this, my August TBR. I cannot believe it's already time for August. Like what? Also, sorry about this lighting situation, but we are currently, again, in a heat wave in the Netherlands, so I do not want to be opening curtains, so it's dark in here, so I only have a small light. So we're just gonna have to deal with that because the Dutch weather is not working with me. Let's first quickly go over my July wrap up and also then see how I did on my July TBR. Because on my July TBR I had Wild Love, which I didn't read. It might be my next read, but I'm not sure, but I didn't read it. Then The Shining, which I did read. Then Daisy Hates the Great Undoing, which I also did read. Then Gifted and Talented, which I did not read. Then Into the Blue, which I also did not read. Yes, and the last one was In Her Own League, which I did read. So overall, I think half of them I read, half I didn't. Which, that's fine. I make TBRs for the funsies, not necessarily to follow them, so it's fine. Let me now tell you about the books I have read in July. The first book I read in July was Daisy Hates the Great Undoing. I cannot believe I finally read this book. Look at my tabs. That's crazy. I'm going to do this wrap up fairly quickly, but just know that this series means everything to me. This is my favorite series ever, I think. And so I knew I was going to be loving this book. However, this might just be my favorite book ever. And so I cannot really tell you anything because this is the fourth book in the series. In the series we have Magnolia and BJ, which are one couple which we follow in one book, and in the other ones we follow Daisy, Christian, and Julian. And so this is the second Daisy book. So first we have Magnolia Parks, then we have Daisy Hates, then we have another Magnolia Parks, and then we have Daisy. And now I have one Magnolia Parks left. That's the last Magnolia book. And then I have no idea if and when we are getting new Daisy books, so. This cliffhanger pissed me off. I love this book. 5 stars, 6 stars. My favorite book of the year so far. But yeah, honestly, might just be my favorite book ever. Other than that, I cannot tell you anything about this book because spoilers. Read the series. Although, if you don't like the first book, try the second book, the Daisy book. If you don't like that one, you can stop. It doesn't get better. If you don't like the second one, I highly doubt you'll like the further books in the series. So if you don't like Magnolia and BJ, you can try Daisy stories. You might like those. But yeah, if you don't like Daisy's book, then I'd say stop. Give up. And in July is Heartstopper 6. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's a bit bent. Hello. I cannot believe this is the last Heartstopper book. One of the first ever BookTok books I read was Heartstopper, and so I've been collecting all of the books. That's so sad. And I also watched the movie, and it was so crazy to read this book and then go straight into the movie because it follows the exact plot line. Like, it was so book accurate, which was great, but also, yeah, it's just, I'm so sad it's over because this was such a special book for me in my, like, reading journey, I guess. My first ever graphic novel that I read, like, as not a kid, I like as an adult. And I will always really love this story and these characters. So yeah, I cannot believe it's over, but I do think it wrapped up really nicely. And like every single other book in this series, I gave this book 5 stars, but it's honestly just really one story. So yeah. And then I read In Her Own League by Liz Tomforty. The last Liz Tomforty book I had left. Now I have nothing, guys. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe it. But I love this book. I gave this book 5 stars. It is not my favorite in the out of all Liz Tomforty's book. Caught Up and Play Along are still my favorite, but this one comes after that. It was so good, but I kind of expected that because I really love Monty. And so Monty is the coach of some of the players in like the actual Windy City series, and this is the spin-off. And so I already knew Monty, I already loved Monty, but his love interest, Reese, was a new character, and she becomes his boss because she is now the owner of the baseball team, which was really interesting to read. But the thing I love most about this book is that they are a bit older than the couples I normally read about and the couples in the rest of the Windy City series. Not by much, but just a bit, and I felt like I could really tell in the way they acted, the way they communicated, and I really, really appreciated that. And I just really love this book and this world, and I cannot believe it's over. I am really excited for the TV show. I think it's a TV show coming out, maybe a movie. I think it's a TV show, so I am really excited about that. The last book I read in July for now, I'm recording this a few days early, so I do think I'm gonna read one more book, but this is the last one I can talk about for now, because this is my current read, and it's The Shining by Stephen King, which is so interesting. It's one of my first ever horror books. It's my first ever Stephen King, which is really exciting. And it took me a while to get into this and get used to his writing style. He has a very particular way of telling the story. So it took me a while to get used to that, but now I'm like in it and I kind of know what he's doing. But the thing that he does is just he makes you forget you're reading like horror or like a thriller or something like that. And then all of a sudden he'll like go spiral in his writing, and then all of a sudden he'll say something. I'm like, whoa, back up, reverse. What are we doing? And I think that's really interesting, but like I'm a little bit under halfway right now, but I'm planning to finish this today or tomorrow. And I am so curious to see how this is going to end, because honestly right now I have no idea. And like, why are we following these characters specifically? I'm not really sure, but that's always my struggle with thriller. Honestly, that's why I kind of don't like the genre, because throughout the entire story, I'm like, I don't care, why are we doing this? And at the end, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is why. So that's why I kind of struggle with the genres of horror, thriller, mystery, whatever. But I trust Stephen King. I think if there's one author who knows what they're doing, I've heard it's Stephen King. So I'm going to trust him, trust the process, and continue reading this. So those were all the books I've read in July so far. So now let's get on to my August TBR. Okay, so let's pick our first prompt for my TBR jar. Alright, this is it. I don't know if you will be able to read that. In Comfort Zone. Okay, I have chosen my book, and I'm gonna go with Every Summer After by Carly Fortune, because I really want to watch the show. I'm really curious. I haven't seen too many people talk about it, but I want to watch it anyway. And this is a romance. And my two most read genres are fantasy and romance, so those are my comfort zone, or what I would consider my comfort zone. And well, I hate summer. And so I don't really gravitate towards summery reads, because I don't like summer, and so I don't really like summer reads for the fact that they're summer. But since it is summer, I guess we'll do one last hooray every summer after, and read a summer romance just for the funsies. And I'm really, really curious about this and what I will think of it. So yes, Every Summer After is the first book on my August TBR. Like, our next prompt is this. Whoa, what does that say? Everyone has read but you. Okay, period. Okay, this is actually the perfect answer to this prompt. So you're welcome for doing this. I haven't read The Hunger Games. I know this is so bad. This is so bad. And it's the way, like, I also haven't read Divergent, but like, I have read Twilight and stuff. And what else was big at the time? I've read a Vampire Diaries book. But like, how have I never read this? I've been a reader my entire life. How have I never read The Hunger Games? I have honestly been waiting for a long time to finally start this series now. Because Sunrise of the Reaping, the matching paperback, is coming out in August. You guessed it. So I really want to get that, and I kind of want to read this series like all in one go. So it probably will blur into September, but yes, this is definitely a book everyone has read but me. So yeah, The Hunger Games is the next book on my August TBR. Also, like, terrified for the movie in November because I know that's gonna destroy me. Haymitch is my favorite character. Yeah, I'm not gonna walk on Simona alive, I think, but I have to because Doomsday comes out in December, so I have to make it for that. But let's see what this is. It's really long. Potential to embed itself in the folds of your brain. No, exactly. I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna do something because I have to do it before October, and so I have to do it. And this is, if not my favorite, one of my favorite authors, and I can't believe I still haven't read the series by her. But this will most definitely embed itself in the fold of my brain because it's Sarah J. Maas. It's the way that I've been so scared to read this. Sarah J. Maas is my favorite author, I think, one of, at least. And before the new ACOTAR books, I have to read this series. And these are pretty thick books. This one doesn't look too big. The other two, however, those are weapons. Like, no, they're weapons. Urban fantasy too. And I have, unfortunately, by Miss Sarah Janet herself, been spoiled for the third book in the series. So I unfortunately know some little things. Which on the one hand, I'm so bummed about because I would have loved to read that. Like, that would have been crazy to read. On the other hand, it does make me really excited to read the series. So I just need to do it. Crescent City, House of Earth and Blood is the third book on my August TBR. I think this is gonna be our last prom. Normally I pick 5 but because I only have added first book in the series on this one so far. Hello, that's 2. I'm gonna only pick 4 because I'm gonna want to continue the series I already started. So this is our last prompt. Is that upside down? I think. Object in title or cover. Okay, I can do that. Is this a house considered an object? I don't know because I want to add House of Sky and Breath, this brick, onto the TBR because I'm gonna have to read it anyway. Is house is in the title. Is that an object? I don't know. There's a moon on the cover as well. There's a snake in his hand. There's some kind of dagger going on right there. I mean, he has a lot of shit on his whatever this is. And there's feathers on the back. So honestly, there's objects to choose from, you know? So we're gonna go with it because I want to, period. So yeah, this is the second book in the series. And like I said, I have to read the series before October, before the next ACOTAR books come out. And so I might as well add it to my TBR for fansies. See how long this book is, right? It's 800 pages, no period. Period. So let me show you my entire August TBR. Bit of a smaller TBR than normal, like I said, because I'm only gonna pick 4 instead of 5, because of the choices I have made. So this is my August TBR, but honestly also plus the third book of this anyway. So that's great. That's awesome. I love that. So every summer after a romance, The Hunger Games, which is technically a dystopian, I think. And the first 2 books in the Crescent City series, which is urban fantasy. So I am really excited about all of these books. Let me know what you have on your August TBR, and then I will see you in the next one.